This week on Bad Brackets, I bring in the All Star crew. Oh, and Eric's here too. I had to, Eric. I had to. Welcome into Bad Brackets. It's Monday. That means I bring three of my friends in to torture for an hour or so. This week with the All Star game. Well, I guess tomorrow when this comes out, of the Home Run Derby later on tonight, we decided to look at the greatest All Star moments in Major League Baseball history. We include the Home Run Derby and the All Star game just to get it all in there and be able to get 24 items on this bracket. So we will see how things go. I think I've been calling it All Star Weekend all week. It's not even on a weekend, it's Monday and Tuesday. But that's Major League Baseball does it in such a weird way. But anyways, with me is your new leader, your solo leader in wins. Mr. Robert Hagan got win 6 last week. He is here once again this week.
I love filling in because when I filled in last week, I gave you stuff very late and I was able to pull out a win. So I will take the win. But just remember that all things, it's all about Ken Griffey Jr., and he's king.
With us as well is the man that has gone 1 for 1 in episodes here on Bad Bracket. That's Brian, 1 and 0. He knew it was coming.
Yeah,
And the man that has been on the most episodes, 5-time winner, Mr. Eric Watkins.
Yeah, well, when you represent a team who can get a player to win All-Star Game MVP without getting an RBI, you know you're special in many different ways.
Special for sure. Let's quickly go over those rules for those that are watching for the very first time. All three of these guys are going to give me 3 possible All-Star moments. That'll be on the 24-item bracket here shortly. We'll determine who gets to go first here based on a wheel spin very shortly. We'll give out points based on the seeding of that moment on the bracket. So if it's a 14 seed, you get 14 points. But if it's not on the bracket, you get absolutely nothing. We are still looking for somebody to get the 22 seed. The last 2 episodes, the 23 seed has been picked both times, but not the 22 seed. If you get the 22 seed and break that curse, you get an extra 3 points. Before the show, all 3 were able to give me their final 4 predictions and their champion. If they get the final 4 correct, they get 2 points for each correct pick and 5 points if they get a correct champion. Our wall of winners gets so big, we're just going to fly through them. But as you see, Robert Hagan did win the last episode, which means he stays right there at the top of our Mount Rushmore. Eric has a chance to move himself up to second with a win, where he would tie Robert. And Brian, with his 1 win, is just 1 win away from getting himself into contention as well. As always, we love the stats here on Bad Bracket, so we'll look at your points leaders. David at 248 is slowly catching his way up to Harry, who hasn't been on the show in 18 months and still is in 4th all time. Sean is in 3rd with 386. Robert was able to pass him last week with 422. And Eric, you always tell me that you need something to shoot for. You're shooting for 25 points to get to 500.
All right.
If you look at this list and you think, well, it's kind of unfair that I show the points leaders because it's always the same 5 because they've all been on here so many different times. So I created another stat category for the average point per episode leaders. And that kind of makes things a bit more fair. David is still in 5th. He's averaging just over 35 points. Robert Taylor is averaging 38 points in his appearance. Sean up there at 38.6. Scott, who won a couple of weeks ago, is up over 40 points. And I brought this up too because there he is. There's Brian. There's 1 episode. He scored 46 points. But I can hear you asking, what happened to Robert and Eric? Where did they go? Well, I'll fix that for you. Hagen, you're close. You are in sixth. Just over 35 points an episode. Then you get a bunch of other people. And then there's Eric. Eric in 11th place.
That's okay. Slow and steady. You bat for a long time. You go ahead. You have a few not outs. You know, you're gonna still have good numbers.
We call that the Jollibee influence.
To be fair, Eric's numbers have been going on the rise. His first 6 or 7 episodes were a bit rough on the show. He's improved. He's learned the system since then. All right, let's spin this wheel and see who goes first. And Robert Hagen will go first. Brian, if I can get you to move your mic, that would be fantastic. Thank you. Just got a bit of a wind tunnel going on.
Which is weird because I'm the one with the fan on in the background. Thank you, humidity.
All right, Robert gets the very first pick. Picking second is Brian. And we haven't done it in a while. We'll let Eric win.
Well, why not? Again, this is good because this gives me tactics. I like for the tactics.
All right, then 1 second, because I've decided that the other thing I was going to do was actually put you guys in the correct order of the draft. Because then when I go back and put all the database in, I don't have to actually watch the old episode. I can just look at the PowerPoint to see how the wheel went.
Smart idea.
Brian, I'm still getting wind tunnel from you.
He just moved his mic back up. There you go.
I gotta be careful with it because it's strong. All right, and then I will. There we go. All right, now that we have our draft order, it is time to see which all-star moments these guys went ahead and picked. We'll see how many points they are able to get. Robert, start us off.
So I'm not sure how you want to type them in, how you want me to do it, but I'm going to lead off with a home run derby one.
Okay.
And I'm going to go Josh Hamilton's 28 when he was in the Bronx in 2008.
Okay. Brian, you're up.
I'm going to go with Reggie Jackson, Detroit 1971 All-Star game where he went off the light pole, estimated 520 feet, longest home run in All-Star Derby, All-Star game history.
I'll just go there. I don't know what you're talking about for that. Eric, you got back-to-back picks.
So for my first one, I'm going to go a little bit unconventional because you know me. When there's unexpected moments, you have to select them. When you think of someone like Prince Fielder, you think power, you don't think speed. In 2013, he kind of changed that. I'm going to go with that fateful 2013 All-Star game, Prince Fielder hitting a triple.
Fielder triple. All right. What do you got for your second pick?
My one pick that is so old school, I don't even think Robert knows about this one, and that's saying something. Shout out to the Hall of Famers who played in that day, the second ever All-Star game back in 1934, Carl Hubble torching a stacked lineup, Babe Ruth, you name it, just mowed them down.
I'll just put Hubble. That'll work. Brian.
I'll go with 2001 in Seattle when Cal Ripken played in his final All-Star game. Hit a home run, and famously, A-Rod moved him from third base to his customary shortstop position. His final All-Star game. Cal Ripken Jr.
Which moment do you want?
Oh,
Yeah.
let's see. The home run.
Home run.
Here comes the rancid part of that game.
Oh, I
2000
knew
There
when
it
I
is.
was looking
There it
at my
is.
big board. When I was looking at my big board, I'm like, they list both of these
Oh,
somewhere.
I wrote
This
the
is
wrong
going to
Ripken.
be a
There we go.
matchup.
It gets even crazier later. Don't worry about it. Robert.
So I'm going to go one, and it happened in San Francisco, 2007. And one of the greatest outfielders to play in both Japan and in the United States. Give me Ichiro's inside the park home run.
That fit? Sure. All right.
I'm
Get another one.
struggling. I'm struggling, but I'm going homer with it. I'm gonna go Junior hitting it off the warehouse in a home run derby.
All right. Brian.
I'm going to go with, I think it was in Anaheim when Vin Scully had Ronald Reagan in the box with him. And right about then is when Bo Jackson went yard off my beloved San Francisco Giant, Rick Russell.
And Bo says hello.
So Brian likes home runs. That's what we're learning here.
Chicks dig the
No.
long ball. Oh!
Robert likes home runs too. All of his were home run based too. So, Eric, if you have to pick a home run, are you going to pick a home run here?
No, as a matter of fact, I'm not. I'm going to continue to buck the trend. Knowing the rancidness, I have a feeling that this is going to be part of a matchup.
Hope so.
Randy Johnson, the big unit, 1993, putting the fear of God into John Kruk.
Unit versus Kruk. We'll go with that.
To
Okay.
be fair, Randy,
Yeah.
one of my picks is an all-star game. The other two are home run derby. So
Well, they're both combined in here. They're all home run based. I didn't say home run derby based. I have to say, it's gonna be a fun episode. All right,
I don't like the sound of that already. I don't.
Let's start off. You guys like the home runs, so why not start off with a matchup based on home runs? And we will go with a pretty recent one. How about Albert Pujols, bucking age, having a great performance in the 2022 home run derby, where he beat Kyle Schwarber in a crazy home run off in that one. Or another old man. How about the Todd father winning the derby in what year did I just say that was? 2015. There we go. Todd father or Pujols? What old man had a better home run derby performance? Bring that up so I can see. All right, let's see. Ooh, we're tied. Brian, Todd, father all the way. Eric, why'd you go Pujols?
As much as I love the Todd father's performance, I mean, come on. Pujols, you knew it was coming to an end. Even though he had a lot of power and everything throughout his career, you thought, even against Kyle Schwarber, okay, he's there, fill out the numbers, get bounced in the bracket, and then all of a sudden he's like, yes, I am still the machine. Come on now. Come on now.
Brian, why'd you go Todd father?
I thought it was, if I remember right, in his home stadium. I'm not sure if that's right.
Mm-hmm.
And so it was amazing for him to do it in front of the hometown crowd, and just the ability to do that night in front of his crowd. I think they were behind him, that pushed him through, and so that's why I thought that was better performance.
Yeah, kind of the same thing. Coors Field is a spot for home runs, and for him to do that there, it was impeccable. You know, everybody was already on the Pujols train because it was the last big ride for him, so everybody was already following him enough. He's had enough hype there, and I think that was a little bit more. He was playing on adrenaline, but there was something about watching Todd Frazier hit that ball.
All right, let's move on to your other matchup, and this is might be a tough one for you guys. It might be tough. Your 12th seed. How about 1999 when they honored Ted Williams before the game, that long golf cart ride and stuff. Very, very cool moment. But it wasn't better than when Ted Williams walked off the All-Star game in 1941. Which Ted Williams All-Star moment was better?
And that was one of those that was on my big board too. Both of them, as a matter of
Yeah.
fact.
Same here.
I can feel, even though this is just the first quadrant, I can feel the rancid. It's not totally seeping through yet, but it's beginning. It's building.
Good. All right. Let's see a winner. Hopefully you guys didn't just write Ted Williams, please. Ooh, we're tight again. I'm gonna lift it up a little bit. There it is. The cart ride in 1999. Really cool moment.
Eric, you're
you
0 for
get
2 so
outvoted.
far.
Look, it was the first ever walk-off home run in All-Star game history. Everybody was talking about Joe DiMaggio. It was all about the streak. The senior circuit was up 5-4. Ted Williams was like, oh yeah, I'm here too. Bang! 3-run homer, AL wins it. One of the reasons why he got that golf cart ride 58 years later. Thank you very much.
Robert, why'd you go
Fair
with
point.
the 99 one?
Fair point. Yeah, I mean, to be 1,000% honest, you guys know I'm old, but I wasn't that old, so I don't remember that one. And so there was something about watching that cart ride him going around Fenway Park, and to have all of those players come up that was not Red Sox or was not Yankees to come up and pay their respects was just an awesome moment.
All right, let's go right on into the second round of this first quadrant. And for the first time today, I'm able to say points are awarded for Ken Griffey Jr. hitting it off the warehouse. 4 whole points for Robert, but does it beat the Todd father? Show me winner. There's a Griffey. There's a Griffey. There's a Griffey. Eric joined the group.
See,
Brian, why'd you go
got
with
me
Griffey?
off the island for once.
Nobody had hit that warehouse before, and so that was Griffey was the first person to do it, and especially in the home run derby, it was a great moment in All-Star home run derby history, and so Griffey hitting that, I thought was more worthy of advancing to the next round.
Robert, I know you're a Mariner fan, so I'll let you talk about it too.
I think it's more of that I'm a Baltimore Ravens fan too. Is I went back there in 2018. That was the very first thing. You walk through the Oriole Park and see all these things and the disc everywhere. That was the first thing I looked for. Is I went to the warehouse and looked to see where that's folklore in Seattle history and junior history. And so, I think that was much cooler than the Todd father.
So everybody knows I like to do themes. That was a bunch of home run derbies at the top, a good Ted Williams matchup, but you guys fell right into my trap. Which was better, Ted Williams being honored during the 1999 All-Star game, or Pedro Martinez completely dominating 2 innings of work during that All-Star game? I believe he struck out 5 batters in those 2 innings.
People likened it to, who I mentioned for one of my picks, Carl Hubble, the modern day version of that, with a modern day stacked version of that lineup as well.
Which is better? All right, show me winner. Ooh, Pedro all the way. Eric, why'd you go Pedro?
Again, if you were to just look at those batters, the likes of, like a Larry Walker, all of those, and the fact that 99 season and then what he did the season after 2000, that for all the good that he did in Montreal, those 2 years were peak Pedro. And doing that in his home ballpark on that stage is just chef's kiss.
Well, what I'm trying to remember, and I've got my little notes pulled up here. It was Larkin, Walker, Sosa, McGuire in order, first 4. I don't remember who was 5th because 6th was Jeff Bagwell, and that's who he got for his 5th strikeout. I don't
Strike
remember.
him out, throw him out, double play.
I'm trying to remember who was on base in between those guys. I don't.
Well, I'll look that up. Brian, why did you go Pedro?
Just like Eric explained it, it was kind of Carl Hubble-esque in the way he delivered those 2 innings, especially in the live ball era. When people are looking for home runs, he was able to dominate those 2 innings that he was in the game, and to do it in front of his hometown crowd.
Right.
And on the night that they honored Ted Williams was amazing accomplishment for, especially as an individual pitcher.
It was Matt Williams was the batter that was in between that group. All right, so that means we are down to 2 in this quadrant, guys, and it is the top 2 seeds. Griffey hitting it off the warehouse, or Pedro dominating the NL All Stars in his own ballpark. Which was the better moment? All right, and as always, I like to go one by one, but there's 2 Mariner fans here, so Eric, let me see yours. All right, Robert, I know you're gonna. There you go, and then Brian, are you gonna be Homer? Or are you gonna go Pedro? Yeah, Griffey, of course. Shocker, shocker, shocker. Griffey moves on. Not saying he's not deserving. It's just not shocking. So let's go right on. And
this is all I have to say about that choice.
Wow.
Well, we upset Eric, so let's make him feel better by giving him some points.
Okay.
Because it is John Kruk versus Randy Johnson in 93. But was it better?
Wait.
Oh,
Walker.
Yeah, Walker.
I was gonna say that was the other side of the matchup.
Hold on.
Larry Walker switching boxes in 97.
Yes.
I knew you were gonna do that.
Let me get the graphic in there. There we go. I messed it up. There we go. Randy Johnson and Larry Walker. When Larry Walker went, not screw this, and went on the right-handed batter's box, turned his hat around backwards and stuff. There are so many people that I talk to in this area that put those 2 moments together.
Mm-hmm.
They say John Kruk goes in the other batter box and switches his helmet. They've combined the 2 moments into one, and it's always funny to me. But the question is, which one reigns supreme? Show me.
I'm gonna go that way,
The
but
sequel over the original. Brian, why'd you go with Kruk?
He just made John Kruk look foolish. The way John Kruk was stepping away from Randy Johnson when he was trying to even take a swing, and his swings were just flailing at the wind when he was trying to swing. And so that, for me, was a bigger moment than Walker. But I loved Walker switching boxes, too. That was pretty funny.
Eric, why did you go the opposite?
Because if you know, like Larry Walker, his personality and the personality of just a couple years prior, that whole Colorado team, the Blake Street Bombers, it's like, yeah, okay, I'm going against Randy. Wait, nope, forget this. Nope, I'm going to go over here. Didn't matter. All-Star game, wasn't in the rules, whatever. Larry's like, this is what I'm going to do. This is how I'm going to survive. I don't care.
And that was back when the All-Star game was fun. So let's move on to your 9 seed of old Torrey Hunter robbing Barry Bonds in the 2002 MLB All Star game that also had another moment.
I knew that. Yep, here it is.
Yeah, I thought you were going this route. The game ended in a tie. What a moment. And it ruined baseball for years.
I thought about that, but because of my utter distaste for one Bud Selig, I could never pick that moment.
But will Robert and Brian pick that moment? Which 2002 All-Star Game moment was better? Or more memorable or something? When Eric was talking before he picked the John Kruk, Randy Johnson moment, I really thought he was doing the All-Star Game. And that would have got you even more points, but
I was tempted, but I thought, is he gonna be that rancid? Then I realized right as you started, oh yes, he is gonna be that rancid. And I'm like, well, I'm up the river now, aren't I?
All right. But does it move on? I know where Eric's going, but yep. Mm-hmm. Oh,
Thank
Brian! Brian, why'd you go tie?
Because after that, they changed the formats. And so I think this started what they were trying to do to figure out if they should maybe see if the home team will be the winner of this for the playoffs and the World Series. And so this started something that will never happen again. They didn't want to have a tie. Bud Selig was embarrassed. It embarrassed the whole Major League Baseball, and so they had to do something after that. And so that's why I picked that moment.
Okay,
can I give my hot take before you go crazy, Eric?
Yes.
Nobody should have been embarrassed. It's an exhibition game. Do you know what they should be embarrassed by? Using that exhibition game to figure out who has home field advantage in the biggest series of their year.
Completely
That's what
agree.
they should have been embarrassed about.
Number one, that whole idea of, oh, this time it counts, that was incredibly stupid for that reasoning. Number two, even after we went through that whole saga in that era, we nearly had another tie, almost for the exact same reason. Both teams were running out of pitchers. It's like, okay, if you run out of pitchers and you figure, all right, nobody scores, it's an exhibition. Ties are allowed in exhibition games. Fine. It happened before. What was the problem? Again, this is why I can't stand Bud Selig, among other things.
Yeah, and as somebody that covers American Legion baseball games where people take that way too seriously, there's ties in that too. We had one local team tied twice this weekend. It happens. It's not.
It happens in college baseball, happens in Japan, happens in South Korea, happens in Taiwan. Do
Ties
not sense a theme here.
I don't understand what us stupid Americans have against ties. But we hate them. We absolutely hate them. All right, so Larry Walker moved on, and it will go up against your number one seed. And that is Pete Rose running through Ray Fosse. Back when the All-Star game really mattered and not when it was just artificially mattering because of some stupid rule. Which one moves on? Show me a winner. Oh, yeah. Rose, what an iconic moment that was.
He's just like, I'm going to win at all costs. Sorry, Ray Fosse, you were in the way. You will no longer be in the way, and you will like it.
And yes, Robert, Pete Rose is a Hall of Famer, a WWE Hall of Famer. I'm glad that you recognize that for the show.
Anytime.
Let's keep it old school. Let's keep it in the age of Robert Hagan with your 8th seed. And another walk-off home run, this one by Stan Musial, all the way back in 1955. It will go up against Torrey Hunter robbing Barry Bonds. Which one moves on? All right, show me a winner. Ooh, Torrey moves on. Eric, you're just continuing to be picked on in this episode.
Look, I get it. You had the first walk-off home run, and then you had the first walk-off home run for the NL, paying respects to Stan the Man. But I realize, even though some of us are old, they're apparently not that old. So
we have to keep it age appropriate. And that's the thing. I mean, we're
Look, like Grandpa Simpson said, I used to be with it. Then they changed what it was, and it became weird and scary.
All right. So which one joins Ken Griffey Jr. in the Final Four? Torrey Hunter robbing Barry Bonds, or Pete Rose destroying Ray Fosse? Which criminal act moves on? Robbery or assault? Which one?
All I'm going to say is, if you asked me about certain things and what could have or could have been interpreted to be involved a couple of weeks ago, you may know where I'm leaning in this case.
Well, while you lean, let's start with Brian this time.
That's assault, brother.
Robert?
You said it, so I changed my answer. Assault.
Assault. Eric, clean sweep?
The only difference was it's not technically assault if it's consensual. Remember, kids.
He did block the plate.
I still remember articles where Ray Fosse's elbow still doesn't work properly because of that.
Yeah. Effectively ended his career.
Yeah. I don't think he consented to that. Let's move right along. Why do we call it the Buster Posey rule and not the Ray Fosse rule? I mean, I know they didn't change it until the Buster Posey injury, but still. Hey, you want to give out some more points? We haven't given out a lot.
Points would be nice.
All right. Since Eric thought it would be nice, let's give it to him. Carl Hubble, striking out the legends, gets 15 points.
Oh, bam!
Or
thank you.
And I apologize for the video or the picture quality of this thing. I could not find a better one. But Dave Parker with his game-saving throw in the 1979 All Star game. Another one of those moments where you expect to see this stuff in a normal game, but an All Star game back then, they really, really tried hard, and those moments were very fun to go back and watch. But which was better, Hubble or Parker? All right, show me a winner. Not surprised, not surprised. Probably not surprised either. But Eric, you had this on your board. Tell me about Hubble.
Babe Ruth, Lou Gehrig, Jimmy Fox, Al Simmons, Joe Cronin. These five men combined for a career batting average of .329, over 13,000 hits, and over 2,200 home runs. New York Giant pitcher Carl Hubble did not care whatsoever. He was up there and he sat them down expeditiously.
Robert, what did you think of it? You were around for this, right?
Yeah, I actually was. You know, you look at who you had. No, as much as you're a big Parker fan or something like that, but Eric said it at the very beginning, when you have people like Lou Gehrig in the lineup, Babe Ruth, some massive icons that played in, and we still bring them up on a daily basis. I mean, it's just the bigger feat than Parker throwing to home. So
yeah, that's totally fair. All right, we will move on, and you guys kind of already spoiled this. But that's okay, because someone did not catch on to have the fun. But we'll go ahead and give out 10 points to Brian for the home run by Cal Ripken Jr., who also brought up the other moment, and I expected him to also just pick that moment.
Oh,
because it was worth so many more points.
The Branson.
He could have had so many points. We literally said both of the moments were on the bracket. Which one do you want? Anyway, I only want the one, and I'm not going to double down and pick them both.
And the fact that he said the Rancid is off the charts.
Yes.
He was playing matchups. I predicted one of the matchups that he would have up there.
Oh, can I give you guys a secret? If you get into my mindset for this show, which please don't because it's scary, but if you think a matchup is in there, every matchup, because of the way the bracket works, is worth 33 points for 2 picks.
This is
At
least I'm glad that with the mind, correct me if I'm wrong. I've hit my magic number for the episode, have I not?
You have
All
hit
right.
your number.
Thank you, Carl Hubble. You welcome me into the 500-point club as the founding member. I will take my drink accordingly.
All right. With that said, which Cal Ripken moment at Safeco moves on? The homer, and
If
Brian
you're
just
thinking
doesn't wanna
this long,
vote.
yeah, you just yeah.
Brian just doesn't want to vote. There it is, a homer. Homer moves on. It was all great moments.
Oh yeah.
But now we have another. We'll bring up. We'll discuss later. But the home run moves on. Talk about the cool moment of A-Rod switching spots with him while I get the next matchup ready.
I mean, if you look at A-Rod still very early on in his career, this was, I believe, around the time he had that monster contract with the Rangers. Could have been slightly before it, all that. He's like, hey, I know I'm on the up, but this man's a legend. This is his last ride. He's an icon. I'm going to get out of the way. Which, had we known then, that would be a long, winding prelude to him kissing himself in the mirror in the magazine. We would still have question marks. But at least that moment, he paid the proper deference. And he's like, nah, I'm good for right now. You have this one, your moment.
I think you have to also add in Joe Torre with that moment too, as much as he was behind. Yeah, that's the vision you see. I mean, you see Cal in one spot, argue with him, but for the most part, it was Joe telling him move it over, and so that's why I think the home run is a little bit bigger than that moment.
For sure. Let's move on to second round here in quadrant 3, as you had Carl Hubble striking out all those legends, but was it better than one of the best home run derby battles we have ever seen? And your 2 seed, Vlad Guerrero Jr. versus Jock Peterson back in 2019. Which one moves on? Show me a winner.
Sorry, Carl.
Oh, but Carl moves on. Eric, I was with you on this one. Why'd you go with Vlad and Jock Peterson?
With all the format changes we've seen to the home run derby, and we're going to see another one with this year's edition later tonight, it's so much more captivating with the clock, with the bracket, everything else. It's on the edge of your seat. And someone who had appreciated the home run derby even before all of this, leading up to a moment like this, and to see these two guys just go at it, like practically like the whole Sosa McGuire race, but just instead of a long season compacted in just 10 minutes. That just gets to you. That was amazing.
And the fact that they both hit 37 home runs in their normal time and had to go into a swing off is ridiculous. I mean, obviously, as you said, the format had changed. It was a time-based thing, not an outs-based thing. But I'm with you. The time-based deal has saved the home run derby. You're not sitting there waiting for them just to take the perfect pitch until they're ready, and just a lot of more high action equivalent. But Brian, why did you go with the pitching performance?
Because back then there weren't a lot of strikeouts, a lot of strikeout pitchers back in that day, and then he's going against 5 future Hall of Famers and just mowed them down in a row. I still think of that moment as being a better moment.
Totally fair. As now we move on, and it is Cal Ripken Jr.'s home run in the 2001 All Star game. But was it a more famous home run than Fred Lynn, who hit the first All Star Grand Slam back in 1983? Also laughed. This was in 1983, and the only good pictures I could find of this were in black and white. 83 wasn't that. I make the jokes about Hagen being that old. 83 is not that old, but it was the only black and white pictures I could find. Like, back in the olden times of 41 years ago. Which one moves on? All right, show me one. Ooh, it's up to Brian.
Gotta find it.
I have a feeling I'm going to be on an island again. I can tell.
He's looking for an old answer. So, yeah, Ripken home run. Not a surprise there. Eric, why did you go with the Grand Slam?
The fact that the first All-Star game was in 1933, with all the prolific hitters, with all of the moments, even with the various styles of how baseball was played through the decades, you waited half a century. And for a good hitter like Fred Lynn to finally get a Grand Slam, and there's only been a handful of opportunities since, you appreciate the history of the history.
Robert, why did you go Ripken?
I think the main thing is, I bashed on it a little while ago because it was the moment and all that ending, but Cal Ripken was riding that trail out, and for him to make the All-Star game, move positions, and to help get that game where it was with that game-winning home run, I just think it was so much better. But I think the other thing is, I'm going to say it because I'm not 1,000%. Fred Lynn is still not a Hall of Famer, correct?
I don't know.
I don't
Cal
believe
Ripken,
so.
Cal Ripken, Hall of Famer.
Well, you voted for Pete Rose.
I think he's a Hall of Famer. I think he's a Hall of Famer. That's why I wrote it on there.
He should be. Should be.
He is in the Boston Red Sox Hall of Fame. I'm kind of surprised, actually, looking at Fred Lynn's career, that he's not a Hall of Famer. Nine-time All-Star. He was an MVP, 4-time Gold Glove winner.
You're the only one to win MVP and Rookie of the Year that famous 75 season. Yeah. I think, though, especially if you look even with back then and how things were, the numbers close but not quite, only hit 283 for his career.
There are worse Hall of Famers in the Hall of Fame.
There are. Don't get me wrong. There are, but
that'll be another episode, I think. But for now, we have Ken Griffey Jr. and Pete Rose in our final four. Who will join them? Cal Ripken Jr. or Carl Hubble?
This one pains me a bit.
I'm glad we're getting some matchups that pain you a little bit.
Well, the reason why will be revealed at the end of the show.
All right. I have not started with Robert yet, so let's fix that.
I was here to see this one.
Eric,
That's the only
let me
difference.
see yours.
Mm.
Ooh, is it a clean sweep? It is a clean sweep. Ripken moves on. Not too surprising, to be honest, but maybe a little surprising. Before we get into our final quadrant, here are your points so far. Eric trying to catch Robert with 6 wins all time, has a good lead so far, 31-10 to 4. Robert, only 4 points with 1 quadrant to go. How you feeling?
I'm not feeling good at all, especially how these have come out. So, but the chance of hitting that 22 seed, it makes me feel pretty good right now.
Brian, how do you feel?
Well, I'm starting to regress back to the mean after my first.
And again, with averages, what did I just say? When you get in better form after a few innings out the middle, your numbers tend to go up.
All right,
Exactly.
here you go. Final quadrant time. And going through, we haven't seen a Yankee yet, have we?
No,
Let's fix that.
Do we have to?
Let's fix it.
I mean, in a
Let's fix it.
technical sense. In a
Let's
technical
fix it.
sense.
Aaron Judge dominating the home run derby in Miami, where if they didn't have the glass wall out behind the stands out there, he would have hit it out of the park 30 times. He belted that whole setup. Or your 19 seed, Josh Hamilton, and that first round performance at Yankee Stadium. And Robert doesn't even care about the points he just got.
No, I was just trying to figure out how Judge made it to 14. I figured it would have been, 20, somewhere in there.
Because there aren't all Yankees in All-Star games. This isn't like when the Reds fans stuffed the ballot box in 57 and they had to change the rules. He's rancid, but he's not that rancid, at least yet.
Yeah, we still have 1/2 of the quadrant to go.
You have to remember that Aaron Judge, his numbers aren't way up there as far as total home runs in the home run derby, because once you passed the guy, you were done. And he just kept doing that. And he would just do it so quickly. And it was fun to watch. But does it move on? Let me see. Hamilton does move on.
Randy, I'm trying to be nice, and my justification is, yes, it was a fantastic first round.
Mm-hmm.
He petered off after that.
Well, again, I don't think he petered off. He just beat the people.
Right, but at the same time, though, Judge kept going. A little bit harder to beat, but just, more consistent in everything else.
Yeah. Hamilton had the wild first round. He did not win that home run derby, am I right?
No.
Yeah.
Justin Morneau won.
Yeah. But there you go. He somehow moves on in our bracket. No, I thought that moment was awesome, especially with everything that went through Josh Hamilton's life before that moment, and I guess after, because his career never really got going.
Not to mention, wasn't that at, I guess, the second iteration of Yankee Stadium before it was like rebuilt and everything else?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Think so? I forget what year I just said that was. 2008. Yeah, that was before. Brian, why did you go there?
I believe it was just the moment, doing it in the first round when he blew up. But as a moment, that's what I would go over Judge as a whole.
Well, Brian, you were saying you've regressed to the mean, sir.
Ichiro.
But I'm talking to Brian, sir.
I'm silently chanting.
Yeah, I'm telling Brian he's only had 10 points. And we're gonna fix that, and you're thinking I'm gonna throw up your thing. No, you're 11 seed. How about Bo Jackson and that huge home run that you so eloquently talked about with Vince Scully and all of that? 11 points. 22 seed. The 1 seed that just no one can get. Has finally been broken. When I put this together and realized that a Seattle Mariner ended up in the 22 seed, I went, there's no way it's going to survive, but it's going to be so hilarious if it does with a Mariner fan on the show. But he gets it. 22 points plus the 3 bonus points, which I'll put at the bottom when you look at your score. But just so I can remember what seed was what. The 22 seed curse has finally been broken, but which moves on, Ichiro or Bo Jackson?
Having issues with my whiteboard. Hopefully they will be. I haven't.
It's an inanimate object, and you're having issues with it.
Yes, because I was wiping something, and now
Is it talking back to you?
No, granted, the voices in my head have been pretty quiet tonight, which is a blessing.
Hey, wait, get a couple more drinks in Eric, and it might start talking back to him. All right, which one moves on? Jackson or Ichiro?
I knew it. I knew it.
Mariner. It's a Mariner on here, and of course they're going to go Mariners.
I told you how hard. I messaged you yesterday and told you how hard this was to pick.
Eric, why'd you go with the right answer, which was Bo Jackson?
Simple. As much as I love Ichiro, as much as I've seen him in person when he was with the Marlins, and there was a spring training game here in Jacksonville, I said earlier about Pedro being at that time peak Pedro. Could we not agree that this was, if not peak Bo Jackson, pretty close to peak Bo Jackson at that time? And naturally, Vin Scully on the fly in the moment coming up with that perfect call like he and only a handful of others can. I love Ichiro, but Bo knows home runs. Bo knows all-star games.
Yeah, that's totally fair. I'm not even going to let the Mariners talk about their Ichiro moment because I'm disgusted. Whatever. All right, let's go back to Josh Hamilton. And he will go up against another home run derby performance. This one by one Bryce Harper and his crazy comeback victory in 2018. Which home run derby performance was better? Do you have your answer?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
It's still tough.
Yeah, let's see him. Harper. It's not that tough. Harper moves on.
But so many people were behind Hamilton and what he was doing and all that. Who knows what Bryce would have kept doing if he was that far behind and what he did to get himself back into the home run derby.
Yeah, I mean, everybody was behind Josh Hamilton, but Bryce Harper won. So,
good point.
And Bryce Harper won in this matchup as well. One spot left. And let's give out some more points right here at the end. It is Reggie Jackson and his mammoth home run in the 71 All Star game. Which one will meet Harper in the finals of this quadrant? Sorry, Eric, no Prince Fielder.
Hey, I went out on a limb. I still ended up with 31 points. I'm fine with that. Leave it to the Mariners and the Mariners fans to do all this and that and get their pick and the bonus points and everything.
His branch just broke and he's falling to the ground.
I was waiting for you to land. Are you okay?
I'm good. I'm
Okay.
good. The alcohol helps pushing things and makes the fall a lot easier.
All right, let's see who moves on.
Before he was, but it's got to be Mr. October.
Reggie. Also, I love the fact that I come in here expecting everyone to yell at me, and then you guys make decisions to piss off one of your own. And then I just get out scot-free in a lot of this, and it's great. Happens all the time. And it's happened to Eric where he's upset at you two because you keep going against him. But you go with him on this one, and that's all that matters. We'll just quickly go right into it. One last spot in our final four, Reggie Jackson or Bryce Harper. Which one gets to our final four? All right. Show me a winner, Brian. Show me, oh man, Eric? I think it's a clean sweep.
The Lewiston Bronx, baby.
Yeah.
Reggie
Jackson, clean sweeping all the way through. Brian, talk about Reggie Jackson.
Just the moment that it created that night when it hit the transformer, it would have, I don't know how long it would have kept going if it had kept rolling, but 520 feet, longest home run. He was just worried about not striking out, as one of his teammates told him not to do before the game, and then he does this, and it was an unbelievable moment. Just the length and the height that he put on that one.
Robert, what do you think?
Yeah, and this was when he was early in the A's. This was before he was Mr. October, and just watching that swing and him hit, I wasn't born yet, so you can't say that I was there watching it, but to see the replays over and over growing up and watching that ball go over the way it did, I think it's just one of folklore, one of those home runs of folklore, and it just is going to keep being there in the main front.
All right. So before we get to our final four and we start doing those matchups, we need to have a quorum. I need a decision to be made about points. I wanted to wait until it mattered, and now it kind of matters as we've reached the end of it, and one of them did make it to the final four. So, if you hadn't noticed at the beginning of this episode, Brian threw the entire Cal Ripken game as his moment, and my ranted self did not correct him. So, does Brian get credit for Cal Ripken in general, or does he not get any of the moments?
I say you gotta have the moment. Which one was it?
You specified, and granted, this is potentially gonna hurt me, but I am going to go with moment singular. It is not your fault that Ripken was involved and had two in that same game. You used your rancidness wisely and effectively in doing that. If it's a coin flip, you call heads and it's tails, what are you going to do?
So you guys both believe Brian gets no points for the Ripken game that he put in his final four.
Because again, the whole game in of itself, you remember very first inning with the switch? Do you remember the home run? I was in high school the day after my Spanish teacher. We talked about the home run. It wasn't the entirety of the game. Simple as that.
It's totally fair. I just wanted to ask. Now, I gotta...
Again, it hurts me, and you'll find out why later, but I am going to respect the rules and order of the setup of the show.
Okay. 1 second. If I could click on the right thing the first time, it would be so much better.
The sad part for me is I remember that game more for the home run than I do for them moving him over. Yes, like I said earlier, Joe Torre, it was the infamous, Joe Torre moving him over. But for me, it was the home run because it made more of the game.
Yeah.
It mattered to the game.
Like I said, I could have corrected Brian, but I didn't want to give him a hint that they both were on there. So I did not. And then he brought it back up for the draft, and then I had to. So I just wanted to rant at this in the episode. And it won't matter as far as the overall win goes, but it might change second place. But we'll see. Here you go. Here's your final four. Griffey off the warehouse, or Pete Rose off of Ray Fauci. Which one had the bigger impact? Let's go with a Mariner fan first. Let's see, Robert. Yeah, let's go to a non-Mariner fan. Eric, did you get outvoted? Brian?
I think I did. I did not! Oh! Plot twist, as they say.
You love to see it. Now we go to the other semifinal. Yeah. Cal Ripken getting a home run, or Reggie Jackson hitting a home run. Which home run was better? I'm going to go with Brian this time. Goes with Ripken. Eric? Clean sweep? Clean sweep. Now Ripken moves on. So there you go. Rose and Ripken. Your championship matchup.
This one's tough for me. This one is tough for me.
So tough for this to align, but whatever. All right. Everybody have their answer. Eric has been debating in his own head. Let's go.
Agonizingly.
Oh, I hope you guys went opposite, but you didn't. Maybe you did. I'm hoping it's down to Eric because he's been battling. So let's go with Robert first. Brian, did you go with Rose? Darn it. Eric,
see, it wouldn't have mattered. It wouldn't have mattered.
Rose. Cal Ripken's home run, best all-star moment of all time. While I tabulate all the points, thoughts on the bracket, Robert?
Listen, there's so many moments that we didn't even talk about and even didn't visualize. What about I'm drawing a blank. Home run.
Because I got all of them. I have all the moments on this bracket.
No, couple of years ago with why am I Rushman with his home run derby in the home run derby and gets extended time and switches to the other side. There's just so many different things we didn't even talk about, but you think about how some of these games and these plays changed how things are played now, and the how you have Charlie Hustle and Pete Rose. I think that has to be a great matchup. 1-2. I think you got it right. As much as I want to think Pete Rose being there, but there's just so many different memories that come to mind during all of this.
A little surprised, and I'm wondering how close to the top 24 Derek Jeter, his last All-Star game, that you can call it a groove pitch or whatever you want, right as the fan says overrated, and he just smacks it for a hit. Shout out to Harry. I mentioned Braves, Fred McGriff, his pinch hit home run in 94, which would be a season to forget that ended disastrously. Thank you again, Bud Selig. There's a few of them, but overall, this was a surprisingly good bracket.
Yeah, I thought so too. There were so many moments that I had forgotten about that Randy brought up during these brackets that it's fun to remember those moments as a kid that we would sit around the TV on All-Star night and watch these games. But I thought we got a pretty good idea, and I think that the top four were about right.
Yeah, pretty good. Again, with two Mariners fans, a couple Mariner ones moved up a little bit higher than I thought. Not the Griffey one. Griffey one is iconic, but I was surprised Ichiro won. But that's neither here nor there. Look at your bonus points. And the red ones are the ones that did not make the bracket, as these guys voted that Brian does not get his extra points for picking the whole game. Robert had McGuire's home run derby at Fenway. That was the third best moment of that All-Star week. So it did not make the bracket. You did have the other three all make the Final Four.
Fair statement. I mean, that was also during the time of the year after Sosa McGuire hit all those dingers on the juice, but to see even anybody hit a ball out of the park and into street is just crazy.
Yeah, with the short left field with the high fence, and then McGuire hitting it so far over. I do agree. I just going to have that many 99 moments on the bracket, but I totally get it. Eric had all of his Final Four on the bracket. Only one of them made it into the Final Four. So he gets 2 bonus points. So we look at your overall points. Robert getting the bonus points that he didn't really need, though I do think you broke a record for total points in a single episode. So in that way, it helps. But if you guys notice, and actually you did, the record was 58. So your bonus points
put them over the top.
But if you guys do notice, there is a tie for second place. And you guys know I don't do ties on bad brackets. So Eric and Brian, get your boards ready for a tiebreaker question.
It's not about Bud Selig, right?
How old is Bud Selig? No,
is it a true-false question?
No.
It's a number question.
It's a closest without go. Actually, you know what? I'm going to do the same thing I did for WrestleMania. I was going to go one route and do the Price is Right question. But we're going to do it just like I did for WrestleMania, where I'm going to have you give me the top 5 of a category, but you only get credit if you get it in the correct position.
Oh, damn it. All right.
So you get... This happened with WrestleMania. Sean had all 4 of the worst WrestleManias on my list, but he had them in the wrong order. David had them in the other ones in the correct order, and he got the point. So 1 through 5, please. For the 5 best home run derby performances by home runs. Not total career, not single round. Who has the 5 best performances for total home runs in a single home run derby?
I'm glad I don't have to play.
See.
And if we end in a tie, then we'll go back with my other route. But I like seeing exactly where you guys are going to go. So
In a single derby,
in a single derby, all of their rounds combined for one total. Hagen, no looking it up, even though you're not part of it.
I'm not part of it.
Oh,
man, no idea.
you know, had I known that this was going to happen, I would have turned around and said, go ahead and count the entire Ripken game, because this would have been moot.
If it makes you guys feel any better, I only would have had 2 of them.
In the right order?
No.
Ah!
Take your time. Well, most of this will get cut out. But
If I get maybe one of these, I'm honestly going to be shocked.
We're gonna have to do a second
that's fine.
one.
Do you want to go in 1 to 5 or 5 to 1?
Either.
Anybody have a preference?
None for
Don't
me.
matter. Don't matter. Brian, do you have all 5 of yours wrote down?
Yeah, they're all on the same page.
Okay.
1 through 5. Yeah.
Okay. Let's go 5 to 1. Brian, who did you put in 5th place?
Ken Griffey Jr.
Eric, who did you have in 5th place?
Josh Hamilton.
Neither of them were in the top 5 at all.
Okay.
Who did you have in 4th place, Brian?
Julio Rodriguez.
Eric?
Aaron Judge.
Julio Rodriguez was in the top 5, but not in 4th place.
Okay.
Who did you have in 3rd place, Brian?
Sammy Sosa.
Eric?
Pete Alonso.
Eric gets a point.
Mm,
Pete Alonso
nice.
is in 3rd.
That was the one I was struggling with. Who came
70,
third?
74 home runs in 2021. Brian, who'd you go with 2nd?
Mark McGuire.
Eric?
I went Jock Peterson.
Jock Peterson was 5th.
Okay. So.
And Brian forgot that rules changed. And a lot more home runs have happened recently. Number 1 for you, Brian.
Vladdy Jr.
That is a point for Brian. But Eric, did you get it as well?
Yes, I did. Vlad Guerrero Jr., baby!
2 to 1. Eric will finish in 2nd. I was going to go, how many home runs did Vlad hit in that record-breaking performance? It was 91. But that was going to be the tiebreaker question that we did not need. So yeah, a lot of things happened in one episode. The 22 seed finally got hit. A new record was set in a single episode, thanks to Robert Hagen and his 59 points. And for the 2nd time in show history, we had to break a tie. Unfortunately, both of those ties were for 2nd place. We haven't had to have a crazy tiebreaker for a win just yet.
I'm not mad though. I had a chance early on. Stuff was picked. Choices were made. Records were broken.
Yeah,
I'm at least at peace with that. Just remember, you may have got this 59 pointer, but you still got a little bit of a ways to go to get to 500. Just saying. Just saying, sir.
Well, you know, it's back-to-back weeks with championship, but I'd like to ask Randy, can we bump somebody off of whoever next week is? I need that 3-peat, baby.
Well, the funny thing is, as we record this, there is still a seat open next week because I have not talked to certain people, Eric, on filling in some of these episodes. So if you would like to throw your name in the hat without me telling you what the episode is, I will give you this 3rd spot right now.
I'm not going in blind, so it's all yours.
I-
All yours.
Go for the three-peat.
Oh, it scares me because I know what rancidness you have up your
No,
sleeve.
I will sick Robert Taylor on you if I have to. He did the same thing to me.
Hey, I'll tell you right now, it's going to be a fun episode.
Let's go for it. I'm gonna roll
right.
the dice. Give me the three-peat.
Robert
try it.
Hagen's looking for the three-peat. That would be the first three-peat ever in Bad Brackets
Ooh.
history. And Eric Watkins did say he was going to sick Robert Taylor on you. And
Oh,
unless his
no.
schedule messes things up, Robert Taylor will be on the episode. David Doofenberg will be on the episode.
Oh no!
And you three are going to do the best sports video games. Minus racing, because we'll do their own racing bracket later, and minus wrestling games because we've already done it. And the plot twist that I used in the Capcom episode, we're using again. One game per franchise.
Oh yeah.
So a Madden might
You
make
have
the
fun.
bracket.
You have fun with that one.
A Madden might make the bracket, but which Madden would it be? That is next week's episode. A couple of Roberts and a David are right now scheduled. We will see how that works as schedules permit for us to record that. But that's going to do it for now. I want to thank these three. It's a really fun episode. Worked through some technical difficulties at the beginning, at the middle of the episode. A lot of records are broke. We had a lot of fun. But until next Monday, go like, comment, subscribe, do all the other YouTube stuff. Hopefully you enjoyed it. Hopefully you stuck all the way through. And let us know what Bad Bracket episodes you would like to see. But until then, don't forget that good brackets don't last forever, but bad brackets do.